Hello and welcome to UC Today. I'm Senior Editor Tom Wright, and today I'm joined by James from Nureva. How's it going, James?
It's going well, Tom. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I thought just to start off with, you could perhaps give us an overview of your role at Nureva and just kind of talk us through what you've been up to over what I'm sure has been a busy time.
It has been a busy time. So yeah, I'm the director of product management at Nureva, and so in the product management team, we're responsible for product planning, working with our development teams, but also working with our customers and resellers and sales teams to really understand the market, understand the challenges that our customers are facing, and making sure that we're focusing our development efforts on solving the problems that are most critical to our customers.
And I'm sure a lot of those problems at the moment are revolving around hybrid working, something we're all experiencing or going to be experiencing soon. Could you maybe just talk us through what those challenges are and how you're helping businesses work through them?
Sure. So yeah, we've been talking to a lot of our customers over the past year, really trying to get a sense of how they're dealing with COVID and how they're thinking about life after COVID. And there's certainly some common themes that have emerged. The first one is, and I think this is pretty clear by now, no question, remote working works, right? The technology is holding up. Companies have been able to continue moving full steam ahead despite everyone working from home. So that's the great news. Um, and then the other finding from that is that, hey, employees like the flexibility of working from home and avoiding commutes and being able to deal with children and things like that. But employers are also liking aspects of remote work as well. They're seeing high productivity and engagement from employees, and potentially they don't need to spend as much money on office space going forward. So there is kind of a win-win scenario there. But we hear over and over again that there's some real challenges as well that organizations have faced over the last year. One of them is that we've heard over and over again that companies are feeling like their innovation pipeline is drying up, right? When everyone's working remotely, every interaction is planned. There's no serendipitous, meetings at the water cooler where you get to talk to someone from a different department and, learn something new and mash ideas together to come up with an innovation. And I read one article over the past year that talked about how companies have really been burning up the social capital over the last year that they built up pre-COVID. Those interpersonal relationships and company culture that were established while everyone was in the office. Companies have been able to move forward by sort of living off that capital, but that capital is starting to run dry. Um, the other issue is that employees, a fair number of employees are, they get tired of working from home day in and day out and not getting that face-to-face interaction at the office. I would put myself into that camp. I don't know about you, Tom. It can be quite isolating working from home nonstop and being in video conferencing calls all day. Um, and so, what does life look like post-COVID? Well, I think the consensus is that some type of flexible arrangement is most ideal, where employees are, working from home sometimes, and then also having the opportunity to come into an office to get together and collaborate. Um, is that what you've been hearing, Tom, as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So you talk about kind of the flexibility that obviously creates opportunities for how businesses can repurpose their offices, maybe make those spaces a bit more collaborative if people aren't going to be in them all the time. So I'd be interested to kind of get
Yeah.
your thoughts on how you're seeing customers think about repurposing the offices.
Well, that's exactly the issue, right? If the new if life working life post COVID is about flexibility and having employees working from home and coming into the office to meet and collaborate on a flexible basis, office spaces need to change, right? We need more collaboration spaces. Collaboration spaces need to be larger and more flexible to accommodate different types of meetings. And then this also puts strain on the technical infrastructure. You know, the idea of a collaboration space that's not equipped for UC&C conferencing is just a non-starter going forward. Every space is going to have to be equipped for UC&C conferencing because there will always be remote participants.
And I suppose we've all been in a meeting at some point in our career where someone's dialed in and it's been on speakerphone or the technology's not quite worked. But if this is going to be a more permanent setup, then presumably that can't really be allowed to continue, particularly with more people joining meetings remotely. So would you be able to explain a bit about the challenges this has from a technological perspective?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, so first of all, let's look at some of the shifts, you know, or specific shifts that our customers are looking at for how they would change their collaboration space, and then we can talk about
Sure.
how the technology needs to adapt to meet those changes. So first of all, we talked about kind of the need for more collaboration spaces. We're also seeing a bit of a shift away from huddle rooms towards kind of larger, more flexible spaces, and this could be to adapt to, you know, different types of collaboration sessions, but also to adapt to different social distancing policies. You know, depending on what wave we're in and what's happening with COVID, we may not be free of social distancing just yet. And the other trend we see is the idea of converting office space that had been used for cubicles into more collaboration space. And the near-term answer there is to get rid of the cubicles. You're left with a big open space. And we see companies converting that open space into informal collaboration areas where you know, you might have some chairs and a couch and a display up against a wall, but there might only be one wall in this collaboration area. So how do you equip a space like that for unified communications if you're within a larger space?
I
So
suppose
yeah,
that's the big challenge from the technology.
exactly. So the technology needs to adapt to these changes, and so you know, let's shift the focus a bit more specifically to audio, right? You need audio solutions that can adapt to flexible spaces where the furniture is getting moved around, where you might one day have two people in it and the next day you have 10 people in it. The people might be sitting or standing or walking around, working on a whiteboard. We kind of think that the days of everyone sitting in their fixed chairs around a boardroom table are you know, coming to an end as well, or at least won't be as that use case won't be as prevalent. I think we see more interactive and active meetings. Yeah, and then the other simple aspect of what technology needs to do in the future here is it has to be scalable, right? Companies are now realizing that all of their spaces need to be equipped for collaboration, and you need a technology that can be scaled across all of those spaces and easily managed and maintained as well.
And I wanted to ask you actually a bit more specifically about audio because we would have all been in a remote meeting at some point where the video drops out, it was a bit grainy, and we can get by. But without audio, it's very, very difficult to actually have a productive
Yeah.
meeting. So that in itself, I suppose, creates very different challenges, particularly when people are going to be walking around, as you've said, or have multiple people in the room.
That's right. I mean, the old adage is the most important part of video conferencing is audio, right? And when audio doesn't work, nothing can happen. So yeah, audio is definitely hard. Audio, you know, needs to be tuned and needs to adapt to the properties of the room, right? The acoustic properties of the room. And so that's even harder with flexible spaces because those properties will change. You know, the acoustics of a room will change when you move around furniture. The acoustics of a room will change whether between being empty and full of people, and divisible rooms will have changing acoustics as well. In open office spaces, you have situations where you might have a fair amount of background noise coming in from outside of the collaboration space that you have to deal with. So there's all sorts of really difficult challenges to address here.
So there are some, well, for anyone who's been on your website, they would have seen some really cool graphics and diagrams about microphone mist technology. The diagrams actually do kind of explain how it works really well, but I wondered if you'd be able to talk us through exactly how that works and what the benefits are.
Yeah, sure, sure. So, all of our audio conferencing products use our microphone mist technology. And the way it works is that our products have an array of physical microphones that are all connected to a powerful processor that run our microphone mist audio processing algorithms. And those algorithms take the sound signals coming in from those physical microphones and use that information and the timing from those signals to create an array of virtual microphones that fill the space. And so a virtual microphone is really kind of a point in space where we have the ability to focus audio pickup. So the way the technology works is that there's two processes that run in parallel. The first process is all about targeting. So it continuously evaluates these thousands of virtual microphones throughout the room and looks for the point in space that's getting the strongest and clearest audio signal. Once that virtual microphone is identified, it passes it on to the audio pickup process, which then just focuses on that point in space. So the advantages of this technology, first off, is it means we can cover a large space from one location on the wall. And this makes our solution really easy to install and really flexible. Just an anecdote from the K-12 market, actually. We were working with a tech coordinator at a school district, and he was telling us about his experience with the HDL 300 in K-12 classrooms. And he told us that he actually installed an HDL 300 in a classroom in between classes and had it up and running. And by the time the next teacher came in, he just plugged in the USB cable and it all just worked. The other big benefit is the ability to provide clear and consistent audio pickup across a large space, regardless of where people are located, whether they're walking, sitting, standing, or even what direction they're facing. And this makes it really easy for the people in the meeting. They don't have to think about the audio system. They don't have to think about where the microphones are or what sort of beam they're in or anything like that. They can just act naturally, collaborate naturally, and people on the far side will hear everything they say. So those are the main benefits of the technology. And here are a few examples of specific benefits that microphone mist can provide. So the first is intelligent sound targeting. So this is a feature we have where, I mentioned that targeting routine where the system continuously monitors all of the virtual microphones. Well, this routine will also identify persistent noise sources in the room. So let's say a projector fan or an HVAC vent. And if it detects that it's getting noise in an area of the room that's not going away, it identifies that as a noise source, and it blocks those virtual microphones off and prevents them from being targeted. So this is a way of preventing noise from being picked up before you even get to the filter stage. Another benefit of our solution is what we call continuous auto calibration. So I mentioned about how the acoustics of a room can change over time, and that an audio conferencing system has to be tuned to the acoustics of the room. This is especially true for echo cancellation. So all of our solutions are self-contained. They contain the microphones, of course, but they also contain the speakers and they do their own echo cancellation and noise suppression. So really, there's just one cable that you connect to your computer running a UC&C client or a codec, and you're ready to go. By having a self-contained system, it allows us to do all of the calibration internally. And the way we do this is through our speakers, we emit a very low-level white noise. In most rooms, you would never even notice it. But if you're in a very quiet room, you can just hear this very soft white noise coming from the speakers. And embedded within that white noise are structured sound impulses at a wide variety of frequencies. And these sound impulses bounce off the walls of the room, and they are picked up by our microphones. And so by doing this continuously, we can maintain an acoustic profile of the room and continuously update it. And so this means we always have optimal echo cancellation, even if the room configuration gets changed. You never have to bring in a technician to recalibrate the room. Even to set it up, you don't need a technician. The system will just calibrate itself. So again, it goes back to the ease of install and simplicity of management. And then looking beyond, the strict audio conferencing use case, microphone mist can also collect information about the room that can be exposed to, a facilities manager or an IT manager through our Nureva console device management platform. And so, for example, our solutions can provide information about the acoustics of the room or the usage of the room as well. With respect to acoustics, a good example is background noise. So our solutions through Nureva console can show, hey, here's the background noise levels in the different collaboration spaces. And this is useful information for an IT manager or a facilities manager. They can see which rooms might have background noise levels that might actually be disruptive or might be hindering collaboration in those spaces and do something to address it.
I guess all that technology is perfect for what we spoke about earlier, offices where people are moving around, different numbers of people, and those bigger spaces, not just the smaller huddle rooms.
Exactly. Yeah. Another thing I should mention about our microphone mist technology is that it's a technology platform. It's unlike some of the more established audio processing algorithms out on the market. Microphone mist is relatively new, and it's unique. We have the technology patented, and we have a large audio processing development team that's continuously pushing the technology forward. So microphone mist is already a very compelling technology for equipping collaboration spaces with audio technology, and it just is going to continue to get better over time. And I think as corporations and enterprises and organizations look at the sort of uncertain future, they're going to be attracted to technologies that have headroom, that can continue to grow and adapt to the changing future.
Well, we'll definitely be following that here at UC today. But James, my final question for you, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit now. Are there any hints or clues you can give us as to what we can expect to see from Nureva over the second half of this year?
Yes, we've so clearly we're focusing on these new spaces. We're seeing become more common post-COVID. We talked about large flexible spaces and open office spaces. We're also seeing a lot of interest and opportunity in education now. So certainly higher ed, but even K-12, as I mentioned before. And so we're also going to be looking at solving problems in those spaces as well.
James, thank you so much for your time today. It's been great to have you.
Thank you, Tom. Take care.
And thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this video, as ever, please give us a like and a share on social media, and we'll see you next time.